Hey, Gordon here with another edition of the Unscripted Series. And this week I'm here with our friend Matt Dahlberg. And Matt is a ukulele musician, well, more of a musician than that. Certainly a ukulele musician and teacher. When did we first meet you?
It was at a Reno Ukulele Festival. I don't remember the year, to be honest. But
I bet it was
2009 or 10. Probably 10.
Yeah, and you were performing and teaching there.
Exactly.
And tell us what you're up to now.
Well, right now I'm working on a couple different projects, but I'm primarily teaching online, and that's what I've been doing full-time for the last few years.
Wow, so through Skype?
Yep, through Skype, FaceTime, Google Hangouts. I kind of use different mediums depending on people's computers and connection speeds and such.
So you choose. You tell them what to use after kind of testing them?
A little bit, yeah. Sometimes I'll let them have a choice. A lot of my students use these programs in their everyday lives, and so they have a preference, and I kind of adapt to that.
Okay.
But I've kind of actually gone away a little bit from Skype recently in favor of the others. But
think the quality's better?
Yeah, Skype's got actually some weird little audio problems it's developed over the last few years, and it only affects, I'd say, 1 in every 10 students, and so we use a different program for those. So I usually just try to use a different program immediately.
So is the audio quality, it must be good enough to do the lessons on these?
Yeah, and you know, I've been teaching online for about 5 years now, and it's amazing to see how much better people's connection speeds, you know, how much they've improved. I used to have to turn down 1 in 4, 1 in 5 students for connection issues, and the reason was
frustrating.
Yeah, most of my students are in remote areas and can't find a local ukulele teacher, so they look online. And now I haven't had to turn down a student in a couple of years for slow connection, and the quality for HD video has improved so much, and a lot of my students will use external microphones and things to really make the sound better, but it's not fully needed. You can really tell very well on how someone's sounding just through the built-in microphones.
How do they find you? How does a student find you?
I'm not really sure. That's been the coolest part about what I've been doing is I've done very little promotion. The most promotion I've really had is, you know, like doing a video with you guys or anything like that. And so people have, I think it's been word of mouth and people at festivals asking about uke teachers. I was really fortunate where I was interviewed in the New York Times about online teaching. And I think the person, you know, was just looking up online ukulele lessons in the Seattle area because it was kind of a bunch of Seattle-based musicians that were interviewed. So I think I just got pretty lucky that they found me. But it's been great. I teach about 25 to 30 people a week, and I would say that, you know, 9 out of my 10 lessons are reoccurring students same time every week for weeks in and weeks out. So
9 out of 10.
Yeah, I would say.
And most of them are in for a weekly lesson?
Yep. So basically how it works is they get a weekly time slot, and I bill 4 lessons at a time, and I would say 9 out of 10 of those people take for, you know, more than 6 months. Is really what I was getting at. That are long-term students.
Wow, nice.
So it's been really
not a lot of turnover. And
yeah, it's been really consistent, and that's something I didn't think when I kind of started doing it. But
and where where are your students located?
All over the world. Most of my students are in the U.S. I used to have quite a few students in Australia, and I still do have 3 or 4 right now in Australia. I've had students, you know, recently, just in the last month, I've had Austria and England, all over the U.S., Switzerland. Really, anywhere you have an internet connection, you can do a lesson. So.
Right. So you're talking about time differences of, what is it? We're in West Coast time. You're up in Seattle, so
18 hours for Australia.
18-hour difference.
Yeah.
Right.
So my Fridays are Australia Day because when I'm teaching my Friday later afternoon, evenings, it's their Saturday morning.
Okay.
And when we go into daylight savings time, they go into standard time. So it's a 2-hour swing instead of an hour swing. So it definitely makes for some interesting things when it's fall and springtime for switching up times, but I'm really lucky that I've been able to try to align people by their time zones on days so that I can kind of pivot them all one way or pivot them all another. But
right.
That's definitely been one of the largest challenges is being able to communicate correctly how the time differences work. I've gotten called at 3 a.m. on FaceTime before because someone thought that's when their lesson was.
How do you decide what you're going to teach them? Is it your curriculum, or is it what the student wants to learn?
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite questions, because it honestly varies from person to person. And my favorite thing about teaching is trying to make the person into the player they want to be. And so some people come to me saying, I really want to learn this song. And what I do is I customize the lessons, teaching what I think are the techniques and fundamentals they need to learn that song.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll sort of almost trick them into doing a bunch of things to learn that song, in the sense of they're learning techniques they didn't necessarily think they'd want to learn, but realized they did to learn the song. And but some people, you know, are complete beginners, and they say, I want to, you know, I just bought this ukulele, I want to learn it right. And I have a curriculum I use for that to show the different techniques, but I try really hard to customize each lesson for each student to make sure that we're working on things that they want to work on while maintaining, you know, fundamentals that are really important for wherever they are with their playing.
Sounds perfect.
So
we were talking maybe yesterday, I don't know, about cancellations that occur, you know, from time to time.
Yeah.
What's your cancellation policy?
Well, that's something I struggled with a lot at first, because, you know, this is my full-time job. And so when I have a cancellation, if I just kind of always work to that cancellation, I could be out an hour of work a week. And I would say I average 2 to 3 cancellations a week, because people are busy. And so what I've adapted with my lessons is I have a policy where they need to notify me within 48 hours for a cancellation or reschedule. And if they do that, no harm, no foul, we switch to a different time. If they notify me within that 48 hours, instead of having a lesson that week, that hour that they paid for, the 40 minutes, they end up getting a video. I do a video lesson for them, and all of my students have a Dropbox folder linked to my Dropbox account where I scan all of the lesson materials we work on, as well as post videos for every lesson we've done. I've got a lot of canned videos now of things for techniques that we work on, and so I can post those. So it's almost like Lessons Plus. They get some online materials that they can use, and Dropbox has great apps you can look at on your iPad or iPhone. So whenever they cancel, they get a video lesson. That's anywhere from, you know, 10 to 20 minutes, even a little bit longer, depending how long it takes me to write the lesson video, and I customize it for the person.
Yeah.
So I have some students that literally cancel 75% of the time. They just
want the video.
Yeah, they just want to make sure they got a time slot,
Yeah.
and they end up getting quite a few videos from it. So.
Cool. So how do people get in touch with you?
My website, mattukulele.com, and shoot me an email through there. All the information with lessons is right there. You can also find me on Facebook by just looking at my name, Matt Dahlberg, or YouTube, or I think I have a Twitter. A lot of different mediums, but the website's definitely best and most consistent. In the fall, I teach quite a bit more. Over the summers, I teach a little less. I'm about 12, 13 lessons a week right now. But in September, I'll be ramping back up to hopefully the 25 or 30 again.
You want to show them your uke?
Yeah. This is pretty cool. So last year I approached Gordon and Shar about a teaching ukulele, because when I'm showing things on the internet,
I'm going to zoom in for you.
And I hold things up to the camera, when it's the middle of the fretboard, people can't tell where I am. But thanks to the inlays of the numbers here, it's been an incredible teaching tool, so that when I'm showing how to play a certain chord for someone, they can see exactly what the numbers are that are being utilized. And little things with this uke, like having the matte finish instead of the high gloss, makes it so it doesn't have very much glare on the front. The ebony fingerboard makes my pale white fingers show up pretty well when I'm fingering, and it's super lightweight, which is really nice for when I'm trying to hold up a chord with one hand and write something with the other.
Yeah.
So this is the only uke I really use in my teaching for those reasons. And it's been really cool to show, and it's funny because it's one of those, I don't think I'd miss it until I don't have it, because I used to all the time, whenever I'd hold up the uke, I'd have to start by holding the uke where the entirety of it is in picture, and then put the fingers on, then gradually go towards them, so they get the perspective. Because if you're only seeing this much, you have no idea what, if it's the fret marker's the 3rd, 5th, or whatever fret marker. So now I just hold it right up, I put my fingers on, and people know exactly where I am.
All right, well, this week we've been with Matt Dahlberg, musician, instructor, online ukulele lesson provider, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks.